Hello everyone, welcome to Tactica, Imperialis and to today's video. Today is episode 138 of Adeptus Podcastus. Rem, we're 6 months from 150, we better get planning.
It's going to be on your channel, so you got to do it.
Yes, I know. Right, joining me as always for this first episode of 2022 is Remleiz from 40k Theories.
I'm not dead yet. Sorry to disappoint you all.
Yes, you sound a lot better, which is really good after last episode.
I'll be honest, I still feel like I had a grab, but nowhere near as bad. So hopefully I'm on the mend. Hopefully.
Good.
And then I say this and watch me say, oh, but I'm now going to be hooked up to a vent respirator for the next 6 months or something. I don't know.
Here's hoping not. And joining us as our guest today is a familiar face and someone who is prescient in her predictions for previews. Sadly, we're a day late on preview predictions. Ladies, gentlemen, Xenos of all ages and everything in between, I give you WarGamerGirl.
Hello! Happy New Year to everyone.
And to you.
And I'm also glad that Remleiz is not dead. I didn't see any carts outside, bringing him out.
Just like that scene from Monty Python. I'm not dead yet.
Oh, you'll be there soon. Yes, that.
I need to watch that film again.
Which one was that one?
Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Thought it was. Right.
The best one.
Fair enough.
Well, I'm
Okay.
sure you gentlemen have already watched the videos of the wrap-up on 2021 by Warhammer community, as well as their fun preview that came out today.
Yeah, we're recording this on New Year's Day because we didn't want to interrupt anybody's New Year's celebrations, for one. And second, because we knew there would be previews. There was one on Christmas Day and there was one on New Year's Day, as well as a bunch of wrap-up stuff as well. There's absolutely loads to cover. And since you brought it up, I think we'll start with that preview video because there are lots of little snippets and teasers, and I'm not all sure we've got different images and clips that we all wanted to draw from in terms of that. The video is on the Warhammer TV YouTube channel as well as on Warhammer Community. I'm not going to put every individual screenshot on screen because I'll be here till literally next Christmas, but I will try to make it as explicit as I can which picture we're talking about as we go along. So, who wants to start?
Well, I think we got a very good piece of, I think it's very safe to assume that one of these miniatures being previewed is none other than a new version of Malgan Ra, the Phoenix Lord of the Dark Reaper Aspect Warriors. And the reason I say this is because there's 3 images shown, one of which basically being a tabard that's got the Dark Reaper symbol attached to it, which is a bit of a big giveaway. Another one being the tip of a Shuriken Shrieker cannon with a scythe blade attached to it, which is Malgan Ra's... Exactly, it's a signature weapon. And of a spine-like backpack, which again is a feature on the current model with the spine detailing on the backpack. So I think it's safe to assume Malgan Ra is the next Phoenix Lord to get an update.
Some said that this backpack image maybe was Ossiarch Bone Reapers at a glance, which I can get, but you've got also those spheres that very much echo Craftworld Eldari design. As well.
I'm pretty sure it is actually Malgan Ra, because if I can get a version of the old... Yeah, it's the old / current model, and you can see the backpack and compare it to it.
I'm so glad you started off by saying his name. I read that too, and I was like, Mogan? I don't know. Malgan Ra, I guess. Yeah, Twitter and Facebook all agree with you, Remleiz. Everybody's saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be fair, it is one of the... Well, actually, it's one of the many Phoenix Lords that are flat, 2D, almost 2D mold miniatures, because a lot of the Phoenix Lords, minus, I think, a Sermon and Jane Czar before she got redone.
I'm pretty sure a Sermon's one is still the same one from 2nd edition.
I didn't think it was flat. I thought he had a pointing forwards arm that maybe wasn't flat. I'm willing to be wrong on that, of course. You know older models better than I do.
No, it's like a single thing. I think the only thing that's not attached to him is a backpack, I think. But then again, actually, no, the backpack's a conversion, not an actual a separate piece. Like, it is just like a flat piece from a blister pack, yeah.
Okay, never mind. I stand completely corrected. But yes, Malgan Ra, Phoenix Lord of the Dark Reapers, which in turn implies we will be getting new Dark Reaper models. You don't do one without the other if Janezar and Drazhar, whether you think he's a Phoenix Lord or not, is anything to go by.
Here's hoping, at least, anyway.
Indeed, and we have got more new Eldari to discuss. We'll get there later. In terms of the battle box that was revealed around Christmas. But if we stay with the trailer, there was, Remleiz has done it for me, the bloody-handed symbol, a blooded hand, which is being taken by many, particularly looking at the background of that image, which is admittedly blurry, to be a remake or a redesign of the avatar of Kayla Mensha Khaine.
Yes. This is actually also supported by a bit further earlier on in the trailer itself, which appears to show what looks like the Wailing Doom. You know, his sword.
The flaming sword.
Yeah. If I can get the bloody screenshot fucking thing. Right.
Yeah. But yes,
the
Avatar of Khaine... Whilst Remleiz fights his laptop to get the picture. The Avatar of Khaine is a rather old model. Yes, that's the one. The Avatar of Khaine, actually, its most recent iteration came in Age of Sigmar, with the Cauldron of Blood creating a stone Avatar of Khaine that you can also animate in Age of Sigmar. Admittedly, it's not quite the same because the sword in no way really resembles the Wailing Doom, but I think for many people it was baby's first avatar because they didn't want to bother with the big chunky metal boy.
I'll be honest, I thought you were going to say the newest one was going to be the Forge World one.
I believe that the Cauldron of Blood is younger. Right. I believe the Cauldron of Blood came out late in 8th edition fantasy, so I remember that model coming out. I don't remember that avatar coming out. Fair to be wrong though.
Fair enough.
Still, a new avatar. Hopefully they can make it actually good. Maybe.
Oh, is that a problem with them normally?
Well, in lore, they suck. And in gameplay, when was the last time you saw one on a tabletop?
Yeah.
In a tournament?
As one person put it best, they have the Lieutenant Worf problem. As in, like, you know, they're big and mean enough to be threatening, but also get curb stopped so easily just to justify how big of a threat someone is, essentially.
Yeah, they're perennial mid-carders. Like, they're really powerful to the average jabroni, but anybody beastly comes along and they are just mincemeat.
I just like how I described them as the Barry Horowitzes of 40k lore. They job to everyone.
No, they do beat most random jobbers. They just lose to anybody who's recognised.
If this is going to be a new Avatar of Khaine, though, I hope we get a weapon option, so instead of just having the sword, we get like the spear option, like with his Forge World model.
That would be cool. I mean, looking at the Wailing Doom screenshot, if you didn't know what you were looking at, you'd assume that's a spear, not a sword. If you didn't know what you were looking at. So we'll see whether they go for weapon options or not. I think it would be very much a good idea. But I guess we'll have to find out.
Yeah. Because I think the very first Avatar of Khaine model, the one that's even older than the current one being sold, I think that one actually had a spear instead of a sword.
No way I could know that.
And it did, and it looks absolutely adorable and derpy. If I can get to load.
I don't know, I have a soft spot for all those old models.
It's adorably derpy.
Well, yeah. It was a little bit more of what GW used to be. Well, can we talk about those smokestacks?
We can.
Yes, we can.
This is one of the images that went on Warhammer Community as a particular let's point this image out image, as well as a few others thrown around in the trailer as well.
So the speculation is Chaos Knight. Is that pretty reasonable?
I agree, but I find it a little odd because, like, we already have a Chaos Knights model, and it's fine.
It could be a new type of knight, because I think the only new Chaos Knight model we actually had was, like, the standard one. Like, because, like, with the Imperial Knight codes, we had, the baby Warlord Titan Knight and the armor goods and stuff like that. And I think Chaos doesn't really have anything equivalent to that.
They have rules for them.
They have rules, but I mean, in terms of dedicated models, without actually having to convert them.
I mean, they could be like War Dogs, which is the Chaos Armigers. They could be War Dogs.
Maybe.
Oh. It's hard to get a sense of the scale on that. They would have to be quite small, right?
Yeah, there's also an image straight after the smokestacks in the trailer. There's a couple more images. There's one with mecha tendrils, and then one with what looks like a vulture perched upon a knight's shoulder pad, which I think is what really solidifies something Chaos Knighty to me.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not a Chaos Knight, it could be something like akin to, like, a new Forge Fiend, or something like that, or a new Mauler Fiend.
Now that's backed up by one of the first pictures in the trailer, which is of what appears to be an ectoplasma cannon. If you go right to the start of the trailer, before they even really launch into it, there's what looks to be an ectoplasma cannon.
Yeah.
In the very first picture.
It also looks a bit like a Volkite cannon as well.
Could be.
Like,
it does kind of look Volkite-y.
Because you compare it to like the Forge World Knight Moriax, or whatever it's called. The barrel looks very similar to that of a Volkite weapon.
Yeah, slightly chaosified Volkite. It's certainly possible. I think, wait and see. We know we're getting more new Chaos Space Marines. Again, we'll come on to it later. So it makes sense that they are revamping it. I don't think they'll touch the Mauler Fiend, though, because that model's a 6th edition model. That's quite recent. In the grand scheme of Demon Engines. Like, they would do a new Defiler first.
That's true.
Personally, anyway.
In fairness, it wouldn't be completely outside the realm of possibility for it, because, like, Games Workshop has been known to, like, change models in subsequent editions. Like, a big one, for example, was like, with the Emperor's Champion. The 3rd edition model was completely different to the 4th edition one.
Okay.
True. And then the 8th edition one was kind of a hybrid.
Yeah.
Oh, also, if you fast forward the Wailing Doom picture forward by about a second, you get a really nice shot of the Avatar's chest plate, just to confirm it is probably an Avatar, and it is probably a sword.
Oh, yeah. And also looks like we're getting new witches as well.
Yes, Drukari. Now, it's not outside the realms of possibility that these are Age of Sigmar models, because everything we've discussed so far is 40k, and the trailer doesn't explicitly say whether it's all 40k or not, but I could see that kind of a model making an appearance in Age of Sigmar just as much. True. But given we got a recent-ish Succubus miniature, and we just got a new Lilith not that long ago, it would make sense to redo the witches as well.
Oh. Now, is any of this all planning to follow? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry, you can't.
I was just going to say, are any of these models planning to follow up the codexes that are coming out, the Gene Stillers, Custodes, and Tau? I mean, I didn't see really anything that fed into those.
No, well, we know obviously, I think what they've done is they've revealed the new miniatures for those 3 armies, the Blade Champion, the Saboteur, and the Pathfinders and Darkstrider for those 3 armies. I think that's all they're going to get for their 9th edition codices in terms of new models.
Oh.
And these will be the actual books and releases of 2022. That's my personal opinion on the matter. I'm willing to be wrong.
There was one thing that was shown that does look like it's an Age of Sigmar model, because it looks like something from Soulblight Gravelords or something to that effect.
It looks like a plague center of some kind, and there's actually an image slightly later of a tome surrounded by candles. Admittedly, they're very orange, holy candles, rather than what I'd call plaguey Nurgle candles. Oh no, they are green. They're slightly sickly green candles. So it could be either Skaven, or it could be... It won't be Death Guard. So
I'm not sure
it could be...
I'm not sure if it's Skaven, because the hand that's holding that lantern, it's very, very hairless for it to be a Skaven.
Yeah, and if you go back a touch more, there's a sort of lower torso of a model, which I may or may not be the same, which, again, is not very Skaven. It's just, I think of things like Nurgle. When I see that colour scheme, I don't think Undead, I think Nurgle. Like, it's greenish robes, greenish fumes, greenish flames. It comes to Nurgle for me, and thus Clan Pestilence Skaven, rather than Undead.
Oh, what's the other Undead faction in Age of Sigmar? The one that's all the ghosts. What are they called?
The Nighthaunt, but they can't be them because this thing has legs.
Right.
No Nighthaunt have legs. Not even the Mortark.
I was thinking more in regards to possibly the lantern, because it does share a similar colour scheme to some of, the Nighthaunt stuff. Like if you compare the lantern to, like, say, like this, for example.
Oh yeah, the Guardian of Souls. I see what you mean. It feels a bit more sickly, rather than the bright spectral and pale greeny white sea green of the robes. It could be. I'm not going to rule it out, but it's not my first thought when I look at it.
That's fair enough.
We'll see, I suppose, because they haven't really... We know a little bit about what's coming for Sigmar, but we know a lot less.
Yeah.
But what actually got me the first time watching through this trailer... Oh, no, it is a 40k model. Their spear thingy that they're holding has electrical cabling in it, so it's either... It can't be AOS unless it's Skaven, but I don't think it is. I'll show you. They seem to be holding some sort of electronically charged weapon with cabling, etc.
Yeah, some kind of power weapon, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see exactly what it is in due course.
Yeah.
Like I say, what popped me the first time through this trailer, oddly enough, was Tyranids. Because they didn't hide it, they're doing new Nids for the first time in a long time.
Well, I know a lot of people who will be excited about that.
Oh, absolutely. So we got a look at what looks like a winged creature with tendrils, and yeah, there's a proper look at its tail as well. It kind of reminds me, what we see of this model, of a sort of variant on Morathi. I'm not saying it is, it might not be, but it reminds me of Morathi quite a lot in terms of the pose. Like the curved wings, the wriggling round tail, and the wings sort of curling in on the model. Reminds me a lot of Morathi.
Also kind of has a lot of a look of a Venom Thrope a little bit.
Yeah, I was just going to say it reminds me a lot of the Venom Thrope, yeah.
It does. It'll be interesting what this is. First instinct that people had is Shrikes, the flying Tyranid warriors that have had rules for yonks and never had models.
Well, I have Forge World models.
Okay, my apologies. Yeah, first thought was Shrikes. Someone threw out the Parasite of Mortrex or something like that. I don't recall if that creature had wings.
The Parasite of Mortrex.
Oh, it does. Someone's actually very conveniently put a picture of it.
Yeah, it could be a Parasite of Mortrex, actually, yeah.
They've changed the weapons, though, because this thing has lasher tendrils rather than the rending claws that the old Parasite used to have. But it could absolutely be the Parasite of Mortrex.
That'd be cool, because let's be honest, when was the last time the Nids actually got a character model?
The Swarm Lord.
And how long ago was that?
Or did they get an old One Eye in a Carnifex box? No, that's an old model. Never mind. Yeah, it'll be the Swarm Lord all the way back in 6th.
Oh, wow.
When they did the plastic Flyrant, it'll be then.
So you're saying it's been a minute?
It's been a hot minute.
A country minute.
Well done.
Now you're mixing metaphors.
But yeah, new Nids, new Chaos, new Eldari, of various flavours it seems, and something as yet not entirely identified. That's what we've managed to dissect from the trailer. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you see anything that we missed? You could even leave a particular timestamp to the video, like say at 24 seconds in the video or whatever. It's only 40 seconds long. I don't think it's too difficult to find. But I think that's what I got out of it at the very least.
Yeah,
So
Nids seem like the big winners in this case. I mean, I know a lot of people love the Eldar stuff, and Chaos is always popular, but Nids have just been apparently ignored for a long time.
So the Eldari, in fairness.
Oh, yeah.
That's...
Like,
yeah.
The current Malgan Ra and Avatar Arcane models are from 2nd.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there's a lot of 2nd edition models in the Craft Worlds range.
That would explain their adorable 1st edition looking models, so...
Indeed.
But, I mean, in fairness, the current Baharov model still does hold up very well.
Oh, some of them absolutely do. I do like Baharov's model quite a lot. But, yeah, a lot of them do need a redo. I'm looking particularly at Karandras, actually, now.
Yeah, Karandras desperately needs an update, but if any of the Phoenix Lord, if there was one Phoenix Lord that didn't get an update, I would be happy if Baharov didn't get an update, because it does still look really good. It probably just needs to be a little bit bigger.
Yeah. I think they don't need to do a lot with him. Like, they could repose him slightly, like curl the wings and give him tactical rock, and beef him up a little bit. But I don't think they need to change much about the pose.
Did you say tactical rock?
Yeah. It's something I've heard in the Twitter spheres of, like, because so many characters like stand on it with one foot up on a rock or on a rock.
No, it makes perfect sense. Rock. It's just I've never heard that before.
Basically like this.
Yes. Well, that just raises him up, though. I'm used to it where you use that rock to support the other foot.
Well, that worked just as well, because if it's a flimsy old metal thing, then yeah, it will definitely benefit from being pinned on that other leg.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, it does have a slaughter-based thing, so it's not as bad.
Oh, a slaughter base. Oh, no. However would you survive on a slaughter base? That thing is so side-heavy. Oh, it's Finecast, is it?
Yeah, the current one's Finecast. They got, like, replaced most of the metal models with Finecast ages ago.
True. I forgot which ones did and didn't get the treatment.
To be honest, before the Sister Battle got, like, complete plastic range rehaul. Like, I think the only ones that actually had metal models were the Sisters of Battle models still being sold before they got plastic.
Possible.
And even then, I think it was just excess stock more than anything else.
Could be.
Because it was back when, like, a squad of, like, 10 battle sisters, oh yeah, that's 50 quid.
Like, that's changed.
But we do know that the Eldari and the Chaos Space Marines are getting new images. Even if we hadn't had this trailer and we were doing this on New Year's Eve, we'd still know this because of the Eldritch Omens Battle Box that was revealed on... Was it Christmas Day?
Christmas Day, yeah.
Christmas Day, indeed. Which pits the Craft Worlders against the Chaos Marines on a world in the Narkmund sector. A doomed world, apparently.
Well, they say Craft Worlders, but they're Rangers and one Autarch. So it's like the only Craft Worlder there is the Autarch and everyone else is a Ranger, which aren't really Craft Worlders because they're outcasts.
Possibly. But we do get a new Autarch, complete with tactical rock, with 2 torso options, 3 head options, other still secret options, 2 melee weapons, and 4 ranged weapons, which are cross-compatible with the current Autarch model.
And it looks like 3 of them, like a shuriken pistol, a fusion gun, and a missile launcher, it looks like.
Yeah, it seems like that's the starting point at least, but certainly, as character models go, it's nice that they actually thought, hey, why don't we make it customizable? And cross-compatible. What is this heresy?
Hey, let's make a character model that's not only got a good close combat weapon, but also a bloody missile launcher. Because overkill's not a thing, apparently.
Not when you're the Craft Worlds.
Nice.
They also come with 5 Eldari Rangers. Asayani Rangers. I can't even call them Eldari Rangers anymore. Which are classed as forward scouts for a Craft World, so they're not outcasts according to this.
So are they changing the law in that regard? Because, like, Rangers are supposed to be the ones who go on the path of the outcasts and they, for a time, abandon the Craft World so they can, live a life without, being on a strict, rigid path system of the Craft Worlds. So they can actually have a freedom of mind, so they can actually, like, hey, I can actually think for a change. This is nice.
Maybe these Rangers are ones that did that and then came back. Maybe these are, like, their lost on the path kind of Rangers.
Maybe.
Who, I don't know, I'm just speculating. They come with their long rifles. There's someone who's copied the Tau in terms of having floaty panel thing to look at. And they also come with a cute little statue of Kurnus, the god of the hunt, which is quite cute.
Shame he's dead.
Shame he's dead. And brand new to the craft world, brand new to anything, I think, we have 2-man jet bikes. The Shroud Runners, Raptor jet bikes, armed with a pilot and then a ranger. So, snipers on jet bikes.
Do you know
right.
Do you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the second edition rules for the Viper, where you could either have a turret, which is piloted by someone, or just have a passenger, which is armed with like another weapon. So it seems to be revisiting that concept for me.
Could be. I admit I didn't know that was a thing.
Well, they look cool.
It's amazing to see how things change in editions, isn't it?
Le plus qui change, le plus qui reste la même chose, yeah.
Or like, what are they called? Legendary Guy of the Venoms.
They're not jet bikes, they're transports. They're actual transport vehicles.
Huh. They remind me more of jet bikes, even though they're classified as a transport vehicle. But it's basically a fancy jet bike. Let's be honest.
It's a jet bike with a troop bay.
That's just a fancy jet bike.
If you want to make it so, then yes, it's a fancy jet bike. I agree. That's quite a cool conversion. Actually, I might try and remember to put that on screen.
I guess the
now, as for
delineation is just the cockpit.
Agreed. Now, as for the Asayani's opponents, they are fighting the Chaos Space Marines with a new Warp Smith, and not a minute too soon. The old one was awful. Well, it wasn't awful, but I didn't like it.
Well, this fella's very tendrily.
Yep, we've got mechadendrites and grabby, pointy, shooty, blasty things out the wazoo.
And
we've got a plasma pistol and the option for, oh, is that a thunderhammer?
Oh?
That's a thunderhammer.
Yep.
I know it's not the first Obsidious Malek say hi, but it's a thunderhammer. We haven't had one of them in Chaos in a while. Aside from Obsidious Malek, shush.
When was the last time we had one of them, aside from Obsidious Malek? Shush.
I genuinely don't remember. But it comes with 2 melee options. The giant sweepy power axe, very reminiscent of the Forge axe of the Tech Marines, or this giant whack-off hammer. We only see one ranged weapon, which is the plasma pistol, but it does come with 2 head options. And I quite like the helmet as well. It's kind of a blend of Mark III and Mark VII in terms of the faceplate, which is weird, but also I'm kind of here for it.
I'll tell you one thing that a few people pointed out. When you compare him to the Primaris Tech Marine, it's just basically Sonic Adventure 2.
It is definitely just an evil version of the Primaris Tech Marine. I hadn't looked at them side by side like that. Good meme. Good meme there, Remleiz.
Wow. I didn't make it, so thanks, creator.
Good meme stealing.
I just saw it in our server, so I thought I'd post it.
Fair. The Chaos Space Marines also get a new squad of Chosen. So Chosen haven't been given models since Dark Vengeance in 6th edition. They never really officially had models aside from that. And finally they get a proper custom Chosen kit with all sorts of weapons. We see chain axes, plasma pistols, plasma guns, lightning claws, maces, pistols, power swords. And that's just at a glance. They say there are absolutely loads of options available for these guys. Oh, that's a combi plasma, not a plasma gun, I stand corrected. But yes, loads of different weapons hopefully for these guys. It's good to continue the customizability, though. My God, they're busy.
As it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, by all means. By all means be busy, but where's the line? Like, who's the aspiring champion? Is it the guy with the I'm assuming it's the guy with the blooming spike rack on the back, but I couldn't tell that at a glance.
It's obviously the big one.
Yeah. I was going to say, the one with the trophy rack's obviously the one in charge.
Yeah. And I think the one on the left is doing Abaddon cosplay.
And the one on the top left has got a goat on his crotch.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed, actually.
Fair enough.
Well, you know, chaos.
And the Forge Fiend / Mauler Fiend will be in the box as well. It's the only non-new miniature in the box. Admittedly, I don't really feel like this is a fair fight at all. Like, how are the Eldar supposed to kill that demon engine, realistically?
With the Ortux missile launcher, of course.
I mean, yeah, good luck. That thing's got a demon save. It's like toughness 7 or 8. It's 7, I think. It's got a power armor save and like 10 wounds. Good luck.
Okay, use the fusion gun then. That's basically a melter gun, essentially.
Oh yeah, I know.
Just getting close, shoot it in the balls. Bang.
Actually, it wouldn't be a fusion gun, isn't it? Aren't they fire pikes? No, that's the Exarch weapon.
Fire pikes are the big ones. It's like fusion, some type of fusion gun for the fire dragons.
Yeah, maybe it's just because I've got Tau on the brain because of some of the things with Tau that I always think fusion is Tau.
I'll be honest, I remember the day when they just armed with melter guns, flat out. This was back in the day when Guardians were armed with las guns rather than shuriken catapults as standard. And then for a time, like during early 3rd edition, they made it so Guardians are only armed with shuriken catapults, but the only Guardian mods you can get at a time were armed with las guns for about a good 6 months. Smart. Let's just double check what they are armed with. Fusion guns. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, stand corrected. Yep, my bad.
Yeah, fire pikes are the ones that look like pikes.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Go figure. But yes, a cool looking box. It's not one that really interests me as much as I have a few Chaos Space Marines at home. It's not a box I'm going to go out and buy because I'm not fussed in playing Craft Worlds, and Chaos Space Marines are not really a project for me at all. So, won't buy it, but I'm really glad that they're actually updating the Eldari range and giving Chaos a bit more filling out as well. I think that's definitely a good thing.
I mean, first, in regards to the Eldari range, it's more of a case of it's about bloody time.
Also that, I mean, everyone rejoiced when the Drukari got fully redone in 5th edition, and the Craft Worlders just have been sat there twiddling their thumbs ever since.
Yeah. Because the other day I posted on Twitter like pictures of the old 3rd edition Battle Force sets, and someone points out, like, in regards to the Eldari one, every model except for the jet bikes were ones you could still get today. And this was back from 1998. And every single model apart from the jet bikes were exactly the same as today.
Jeez.
The Guardians, the Viper, the Falcon.
God, that's bad.
Yeah, again, the only ones that were updated in the interim were the jet bikes.
I mean, was it really any worse than Sisters a few years ago? Up until a few years ago?
Also true.
I wonder if actually they'll go the way of the Sisters and actually have, a further range expansion, like in addition with these Raptor jet bikes.
Oh yeah, could be. It would make sense.
Considering the Sisters got like things like, the Nundum suits and, their Land Raider equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
The Yasayani roster's a bit deeper than the Sisters roster was, though. Like, they've already got the Wraithguard, Wraithlord, Wraith Knight in terms of going up that scale. It doesn't suit them to have super heavy armoured tanks and gunships, but they've got the Fire Prism and the Night Spinner. They've got the Jet Bike Cloaks. Granted, they're expanding that.
Can you still get the Fire Prism? Can you still get the Fire Prism tank?
Yeah, they redid it in when they did Spearhead in 5th edition. They redid it to make the Fire Prism come Night Spinner.
Ah.
So it went from having a big prism to having a long-barreled prism cannon.
Ah, okay. Oh, it's still using the old Falcon chassis, though.
Oh, yeah, it's the same chassis, absolutely.
They just changed the turret, yeah.
Yeah, and they invented a new turret as well with the web launcher. And they got the new flyer. They got the... I keep saying new. They got the Crimson Hunter and the... What's the name of the other version of the flyer? Anyway, whatever. They got flyers as well. I think their roster's okay.
Fair enough.
I don't know what you'd give it
Oh.
in terms of expanding it.
I just remembered, speaking of the Falcon, I remember when that first came out, like there's, a brand new model for the Falcon Grav Tank. Everyone was saying, oh, this looks great. One problem, there's no rules for it in the Eldar Codex.
Oh. Oops.
The only way you could get rules for it, you had to get the issue of White Dwarf that had the data cards for it.
Oops.
Wow.
Oh dear.
Well, so question on that then, and I don't know if either of you guys have subscribed to Warhammer Plus, but do you think that is where they'll just kind of have downloads for data cards from issues of White Dwarf, for example?
I mean, they have that vault, which is full of old books like Gathering Storm and all that stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if they fully committed to having it be a comprehensive archive. Then old rules and data cards could go live there. But I feel like you wouldn't want to put that... If you were going to do that, you wouldn't do it behind a paywall. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that that's necessarily ever stopped GW or stopped fans from participating.
True.
Good point. I admit I haven't got Warhammer Plus. I'm tempted by the Exodite, but not that tempted. I don't think I want to spend my money just to watch the Exodite.
Yeah, I haven't explored it at all either.
Yeah, for me, there's just not enough on there to justify it at the moment for me. That's just my personal opinion, so...
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, sorry, I think I cut somebody off there.
Oh, no, you're good. Go on.
Whilst I won't be buying Eldritch Omens, my wallet is much more sorely tempted by Age of Sigmar's answer to battle boxes, Fury of the Deep. I just wanted to mention this because it's got one of my armies in it, that being Idoneth Deepkin, and one of the coolest miniatures I've seen in a long, long time. I love the Achelian Thrallmaster, the character they're giving the Idoneth. I love this miniature so much.
With his angry eel.
It's got a cool hat.
It's the Idoneth. They are the kings and queens of over-the-top cool hats.
I don't know, early Eldar really had some pretty amazing ones.
Yeah,
I was going to say, in fairness, like the Fire Slayer's got a pretty awesome hat as well.
True.
They did. This is the Auric Flamekeeper, which is a warrior priest. And they will be fighting it out in a battle box that also includes Namati Thralls, Namati Reavers, and an Achelian Alapex against 10 Auric Hearthguard / Hearthguard Berserkers and 10 Volkite Berserkers. This is a really, really good getting started battle box. Whereas Eldritch Omens, I feel like you get that to expand your army rather than being the starting point. I think Rangers are troops, but I know Chosen aren't. This is a really good core battle box because you get a battle line unit or two on each side, as well as an elite unit or two and a cool mid-tier hero to start your army. This is a really good box for people looking to get into either of these armies.
Oh, wow, there's a bunch in there. Goodness. 10.
Plus it's Elves versus Dwarves again.
Oh, yeah, and it's Elves versus Dwarves. Can't argue that.
I guess that's a bit of a ongoing meme or theme.
It's been ongoing for 40 years now.
Jeez.
I think it's been a bit longer than that in terms of fiction.
Okay, fictionally, yeah, it probably goes all the way back. Elves and Dwarves don't like
It's one of the oldest fantasy tropes that currently still existing.
Now, is that just a straight rip from, like, Lord of the Rings, or is there actual, like,
it probably outdates
logistical
Tolkien,
reasons?
I would think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it dates all the way back to Norse mythology that elves and dwarves don't get on.
Oh, fair enough. I just meant with GW's specific approach to it.
I mean, GW have been doing it it's been a trope in Warhammer Fantasy Battles the whole time. There was the War of the Beard, where a dwarven emissary was sent to Ulthuan. It's like, why on earth are elves attacking us? It was the Wood Elves of Atheldaran, had nothing to do with the High Elves. And Calador II, who was not a nice person, sent him back shaved. The greatest insult a dwarf could ever suffer.
Ah.
Oh yeah, didn't dwarves also come up with a whole bunch of nicknames for Calador as well? Like, Calador the Lover of Goats was one of them, I'm pretty sure.
Probably. Actually, no, it wasn't the Wood Elves, it was the Dark Elves trying to sow dissent between the High Elves and the Dwarves, I stand corrected. But, yeah, the War of the Beard is the one that comes to my mind. And just the way that they handle things, dwarves being very stoic and using no magic whatsoever, etc., and the elves being high and aloof and arty-farty, and yes, I'm going to say that as an elf player.
I found all the insults that the dwarves gave to Calador II. The Oathbreaker.
This should be good.
The Oathbreaker, the Coward, the Friendless, the Irredeemable, the Thin, the Beardless, the Goat Lover, the Pale, the Princess, the Ale Sniffer, the Goat Warrior, the Goldless, the Unnecessary, the Broken, the Long-Nosed, the Slayer of Kin, the Untrustworthy, the Nervous, the Frightened of Loud Noises, yes, that's a real one, the Dark Fearer, the Child, the Fragile, the Laughable, the Beard Thief, the Pointlessly Tall, the Honest, and the Intruder.
The Pointlessly Tall. That's such a dwarven insult. I love it.
Wow. Goat Warrior. I'm not really sure how that one fits.
I think it's like, oh, Calador II, he fucks goats.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, unsubtle. 437 separate grudges. Holy cannoli, that's a lot.
I mean, I don't know. At some point, you gotta have something better to do with your time than just be angry.
If you're a dwarf.
It was the dwarves. The Great Book of Grudges was a thing, and the Dispossessed still have a grudge mechanic in Cities of Sigmar. They still sort of have a grudge mechanic. So,
I mean, I'm pretty sure in one edition of Fantasy that the Great Book of Grudges actually grew to be so big and heavy that it actually counted as a double-handed weapon.
I think it got to the point, like, wasn't there a model of the High King Thorgrim Grudgebearer who carried around the book on like a plinth? Like a palanquin?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did, yeah.
Yeah.
That's just extra.
That's old school.
I think that was also back in the day where you could arm dwarf crossbowmen with double-handed weapons. So, like, okay, so they're shooting for, like strength 4 at range 24, and armor piercing as well, and then when they get charged, they strike with +2 strength.
Admittedly, always strikes last, but dwarves were initiative 2 anyway, so
exactly.
It didn't matter.
The only thing that was slower than were Lizardmensaurus, because they were initiative 1.
Yeah.
And I think initiative
values, kids?
Do you remember movement values?
We have movement values back.
On Age of Sigmar?
Yep.
But people who play 40k remember
6,
movement
dwarves
values.
move 4. There's been movement values like all the time in Fantasy's history, as far as I'm aware.
But I'm just going to circle around back to 40k briefly. Do you remember movement values in 40k?
We have them back.
Have we gone back again?
8th edition.
I completely forgot about that. I've not actually played a game of 8th edition yet, so that's probably why.
Well, we wouldn't. We're in 9th edition now.
No, yeah, true.
I mean, I still know people who play 4th edition, so you never know, but yes.
In fairness, 4th edition was one of the best editions of the game, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, never played it. I joined on 5th, so...
Same.
Because, like, 1st edition, ridiculously complicated. 2nd edition, not as complicated. 3rd edition, ridiculously simplified. 4th edition, a little bit more complex than 3rd, but just the right amount. And then it started getting more and more complex. Then 8th edition made it simple again, and then 9th edition has made it more complex again. Was 7th the most recent convoluted one then?
Oh, 7th was a mess.
Yeah, 7 I thought a lot of people hated, and then 8th was real simplified. And I don't know, the people who play 9th from 8th to 9th don't seem to feel too much one way or the other. They just go back and play 4th.
Yeah, I feel like people hate 6th more than they hate 7th. Like, 7th was ridiculous, but 6th was where it really got daft because you could
Didn't Sixth only last for like a year or something before they changed it?
It was 2 years, I think. I think 6th edition lasted 2 years. 7th only lasted 3, which has become the default, but 6th only lasted 2, as I recall, because I started YouTube in the middle of 6th, and within 6 months, I was reporting on the debut of 7th in my rumours topics. Yeah. Back when I used to do news and rumours videos. God, those were the days.
Because first edition was 1987 to 1993, second was 1993 to 1998, third was 1998 to 2003, 2004? Third lasted quite a long time, actually.
Yeah, 2004 was when 4th came out. 2008 was 5th.
Yeah,
2000
So third edition is the longest running edition, then, isn't it? It was 1998 to 2004. 6 years.
Yeah. I don't know how many years. I feel like 5th lasted for ages, but no, it did. 5th lasted like 5 years. Because I swear that the entire time I was at secondary school, when I started, 5th came out when I started secondary school. I feel like I only played 5th edition the entire time I was at secondary school, which was like 5 years.
Okay.
Pardon me?
But then, for the most part, they've gone to, 2-year release schedules?
3.
3? Oh, okay. So we're only coming up on year 2 here in 2022 for 9th edition.
Yeah, because 40k... I remember AOS 2 came out in 2018 and AOS 3 is 2021. 40k 8th was 2017 and 40k 9th was 2020. So...
Okay. Jeez. And then AOS just got a new edition this last year, is that right? Or here in 2021?
It did. In 2021, there was AOS 3 and the Era of the Beast. And that's why these books, Fire Slayers is an AOS 2 book and it's being redone. And Ideneth was one of the last AOS 1 books.
I think it was the last one, wasn't it? I think it was the last one because they had the new logo before the new logo dropped on the main box set.
Possibly, yes. It was the last AOS 1 book, but it was designed with AOS 2 in mind. So it's getting its update now with just a new character and possibly some extra stuff. I mean, the Ideneth already have the basics. The only thing they're missing are endless spells. So I'm thinking they'll get endless spells. Beyond that, I don't know what they'll get. But I'm looking forward to it because I have a very chunky Ideneth army, but it's also a finished Ideneth army. So... I kind of need a reason to pick it back up again at some point.
Fair enough.
Agreed. You know but where do people want to go next? Because there's all sorts of things we could talk about. We can go back to the past for Christmas Day's pre-orders that sadly will be out of stock by the time this video comes out. We could talk about Tau. We could go back a year to the Age of Sigmar box set that came back from the dead. We've got new Space Marines. We've got...
Oh, speaking of the Space Marines, can we laugh at the fact that... because one of the new Space Marines being revealed as a brand new captain in Gravis armor. And Warhammer community put on their site saying, oh, we haven't seen a captain in Gravis armor since the Dark Imperium box set. To which everyone has said, Pariah Nexus. Because the Pariah Nexus captain...
It now says... we've seen a couple of them recently, but this is the first time one's been released on its own with the Dark Imperium box set loadout.
That's what it says now, yes, because they've actually corrected the article. Because in fairness to Warhammer community, when someone points out one of their mistakes, they do try and correct them.
Sadly, they make a lot of mistakes.
Unfortunately, yes.
They're just keeping the fan base on their toes. Well, I have a bit of a random factoid that I learned this morning that a friend sent me. Are you familiar with Ian Livingstone? I guess one of the original co-founders of Games Workshop?
Yep.
Well, he was knighted this year by the Queen of England.
Is he on the New Year's Honours list? Or was he on one of the previous Honours lists? I don't know.
I'm not... Well, he's older, let's say, so I'm assuming he was one of the earlier co-owners. He's an English fantasy author, and he worked with Steve Jackson, so I think it was early on.
Yeah, in terms of, I'm just thinking like because we just had the New Year's Honours list for this new year released yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he was on that list or whether it's an older list.
It should be on this new one, because I'm reading it from yesterday. Go ahead.
So I'm looking on his Wikipedia page. He's got 2 New Year's honors, like one from 2006 and one from 2013.
Well, now he has one for 2021, I guess, or 2022, however they count that. Here, I'll share it.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah, I haven't seen the full list. I've seen like the... Oh, I have seen this article. Give me a second. I have to scroll that. Yes. Games Workshop co-founder. Yeah, he was knighted this year for services to the online gaming industry.
Yes. Yes.
Well, not this year, because it's 2022 now.
No, but he's on the 2022 New Year's Honours list.
Oh, okay.
Because apparently he's a video game entrepreneur.
Really?
Apparently. That's what the BBC website says.
Yeah.
If it's the BBC, though, can you really,
take it with a grain of salt?
10-foot fall. We're not touching that.
I don't know if his introduction of the idea of grim dark to the world would necessarily warrant knighthood, but maybe. I don't know what the Queen's into.
I mean, apparently the Queen spirit bans the Clash, so take that for what you will.
Huh.
Indeed.
One must rock out to London Calling. You can just imagine her dressing up in a bunch of punk gear, just going to a Clash show, just going like, one is rocking out, or something. I don't know.
Oh dear.
I know. I just think it's funny if she ever went to a Motorhead concert though. Like do you remember when Motorhead did a cover of "God Save the Queen"?
No.
Yeah, they did a cover of it. Yeah, the video was weird. Like they were driving around a big double-decker bus and the Queen was driving it.
Oh,
and then the Queen was acting like a bouncer as a club for them. It was weird, that video, but then again, Motorhead can get away with that shit, so.
I suppose so. The other Space Marine that got revealed, trying to bring it back on topic. Yes, we got the Gravis Captain. We also got a Primaris Ancient with a Power Sword weapon option as well as their typical gun option, I assume. I think it's got... Has it got both? Options for both? Yeah, you can. It comes with the option to swap the gun for a sword. So, yeah, that's nice. It's good that it's come out separately because I don't think there's been ones separate since Dark Imperium. Willing to be wrong?
Not that I recall. I could be wrong, though.
Yeah, me too.
What you really need, though, is a gun that shoots swords or a sword that shoots guns. Just because.
Just because.
I mean, speaking of, crazy shooty things, how about that railgun, eh?
I love this.
Apparently that's all the reaction you get, Remleiz.
I think this gun is overpowered. Straight up. But it's so fun. It's so fun. It's so overpowered. It's strength 14, so it wounds almost everything on 2s. It ignores all armor saves, all invulnerable saves, and does D3 plus 9 wounds flat.
Unless it hits something with the Prophet of Gork and Mork ability.
Oh, yeah, okay. There are certain units that it can't one-shot kill. Absolutely. But, I'm really glad the Tyranids are getting a new codex because they're gonna need it. Because otherwise, every single Nid monstrous creature not named the Trigon gets one-shot killed by this thing, I think. Especially because of its targeting array, it re-rolls to hit as well.
Jesus.
Basically, this edition, Tau aren't taking shit.
Oh, Tau are taking absolutely no nonsense. And you know what the best thing is? Jump, shoot, jumps back, everybody!
Yay.
Yeah, okay. For the young and uninitiated, Jump, Shoot, Jump was a mechanic, which was not an official name, it was just a name that everybody gave it, where battle suits would move, blast you in the face, and then because they were jetpack infantry, could move in the assault phase and just jump out of cover, blast you, jump back into cover. Jump out of cover, blast you, jump back into cover. And everybody hated it. So what they've done is they've made a stratagem that does exactly the same thing. Pick a jetpack unit from your army that you can shoot, and then it moves up to 6 inches. And they do seem to have actually put drones and battlesuits back together again, by the sounds of it, which is very good, because it was just silly how they were separate units and the drones could just be picked off. It was kind of annoying. And I also really like the fact that they've got the old drop threat acquisition as a stratagem, which is an old thing that the Farsight core detachment used to do, where it was twin linked on the turn it arrived from Deep Strike, and they all arrived together. So it was absolutely bonkers for a whole detachment to just drop in on turn 1 with twin linked. But yeah, so they can give a battlesuit unit that, which is really nice. I love it. And did I mention that Tau battlesuits can shoot in combat at the unit they're in combat with?
That makes sense, honestly. I mean, a Tau is all about shooting. They should always have ways of continuing to shoot.
Yeah, and also their multi-trackers now cause exploding 6s. The target lock actually ignores cover again, which is lovely. They have 12-inch range, assault D6 plus 2 flamers, so they have better flamers. And then
they get nerfed within 6 months.
Oh, I would not be surprised if Tau get nerfed. But given the game is a lot more shooting focused in a lot of games, but also assault is better than it used to be, and armies like Drukari, which are stupid fast, could probably still run them over. It's going to be interesting to see if they actually truly are broken or if they're just unfun, which is worries me. I really don't want the army to be unfun.
Pardon me.
Because that was the one thing I always hated. Like, when I played Tau in 7th edition, I got a Farsight army, and some people would just be like, oh, you're playing Tau, are you? Power gamer. Or, like, I'm not playing you because you're playing Tau and they're overpowered. It's like, mate, I'm playing Battlesuit Farsight Bomb. If you just read my army list for 3 seconds and realised I wasn't playing the gun line, I was trying to do something interesting. I always end up picking armies that look really cool on paper and have some really cool thematic builds, and then they end up being busted in a different variant, and thus no one wants to play you.
Well, that's just people not paying enough attention then.
I suppose, but it's one of those things. I get the feeling there's a fair few Eldar players from 6th and 7th when Eldar were rampant for 2 entire editions of bonkers jet bike broken nonsense. And everybody hated Eldar because they were just busted. But...
So, are you predicting that perhaps Tau will be the most hated to fight against army in 2022?
I don't know if I'd go that far. The worry is that unlike armies like Custodians, who have to cross the board to engage with you most of the time, and unlike Genestealer cults who, yes, outflank you, but you actually do engage with them. You can do target priority, you can charge where appropriate, you can stack your gun line in such a way. Tau are an army that I worry, because the pulse rifles have got better, and the pulse carbines have got better, and the battle suits have got better, and the railgun is absurd, that they're going to be an army that sits there, blows you off the board, says, thanks for coming, you haven't rolled a single dice except armor saves. And that's not fun.
No,
Granted, that's exactly how the Tau fight, but it's not fun for anybody else. Particularly not Guard, who are a mid-range shooting army, Orcs, who are a mid-range shooting army that can also do melee, Nids, who are exactly the same but with a bit more horde and a bit more monster mash. Those armies will not find it fun to run at a Tau gun line and be blown off the board. That's what worries me. I don't know if it will happen, but that's what worries me.
Well, theoretically, you'll have a lot of vertical terrain to sort of intercept that, and a lot of the new game all has required objectives, I thought. So you shouldn't be able to just sit and blow your opponent away without them having to maneuver somewhat just to hopefully get around terrain and also to claim objectives is possibly a balancing factor there.
It should be, but then you consider that Tau have 12-inch moving grav tanks battle suits that can deep strike from nowhere, and flyers, and cold stars, and you think, actually, they're not a static gun line like Guard used to be. They're actually pretty bloomin' fast. If you want them to be. You can build them where you build, say, a devilfish carrying 10 fire warriors, move 2 of them up, flying fish, drop out, blow everything off the objective, and then camp. You could rush mid-board, camp mid-board, claim the rear end, and then use piranhas, not probably piranhas, or whatever to just pick off key units as you go. It's classic Tau. It's really classic Tau, and it's how they would play. Rush you down in Normandka or bait you in and then blow you away in Cao Yon. But I don't know how fun it would be to face. And I think that's one that they'll have hopefully play tested it. And it'll be interesting to see what happens when people get their hands on that book. It could be all pie in the sky from the most filthy casual going. But that's what worries me a little bit.
No, that's fair. That's very fair.
Right, that covers Tau, at least for now. Also, the Tau Crusade rules are just really cool, where you can either win by military or diplomacy. They've actually put Tau diplomacy into a Crusade campaign. Yay.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
And also, you won't be. I just do want to point out that while you won't be able to get them anymore by the time this episode comes out, Games Workshop somewhat surprisingly actually did a made-to-order of the models from the 3rd edition starter set. And it was only £10 more expensive than the original box set at retail. Which was surprising.
I mean, given the fact that adjusting for inflation, I don't know what the box actually cost when it came out.
The box when it came out was £50, and the models made-to-order was £60. So only £10 more expensive.
For a tactical squad you could still use, and a land speeder you can still use, yeah, that's not bad.
And Cabalite Warriors you can still use.
Yeah, they said, oh, these would be great Cabalite Trueborn. Except, would they? Maybe. Depends on the scale, I guess, compared to the current Cabalite Warriors.
You need to mix and match squads. Just give them a bit more individuality.
Yeah, you could have, like, say... Yeah, put your special weapons in, make these guys like Cyberites, the leaders of the squads. Maybe make a Court of the Archon and bodyguards with Trueborn. I think that would be really cool as well. But sadly, it was only available until the 3rd of January, so it's still available whilst we're recording this. But it's not going to be available by the time this episode comes out. Which is also true of Thorin's company, some classic Middle-earth miniatures. Which...
Oh yeah, I saw some people complain that it was like £100 for all them models, and it's like, well, they're all character models, so you're basically paying like £7 a character model, so...
Yeah, there were a lot of people not happy with how much that box cost. I think, especially compared to the 3rd edition box, they must be like, that's a bit of a markup.
Well, it's because I think it's because this one is the resin one rather than the plastic one, isn't it? So... Because Forge World's saying it, isn't it?
It doesn't say for certain in terms of what they're made of, but it would make sense.
Because if it's Forge World, it'll be resin.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, you're right.
Because I think literally the only time Forge World ever sold plastic is when it was sending the plastic Horus Heresy box set as part of a bundle deal, so...
Probably, yeah.
Pardon me. Again, I apologise for the coughing and spluttering. I'm still not out of the woods yet. But, again.
Yeah. And I apologise that I'm full of a cold as well, so sorry about that.
Yeah. Funny story, before we started recording, Tactica said that they caught a cold, and I thought for some reason they said they beat up a cult.
Yeah, I said picked up a cold, and Remleiz heard beat up a cult.
Yeah, he said a bit of a cold, and I thought he said beat up a cult. So I was like,
no, I said picked up.
I'm just thinking, what the hell are you doing beating up religious fundamentalists?
I mean, it's a better story.
It is a better story, in fairness.
It is, but it's also one that I am not going to ever say I was involved in. It didn't happen. You can't prove otherwise.
So for any artists out there who'd like to draw Tactica Imperialis beating up a bunch of cultists, feel free to do so. Tag them on Twitter.
Ideally, in battle suit, kicking the head into a Gene Stealer cultist, which leads on to another thing that Remleiz mentioned before the show.
Oh, yes. One thing I've noticed as of late is that a lot of people seem to really underestimate, like, in lore, just how much of a threat Genestealer cults truly are. Because, like... excuse me. Because, like, I've seen a few people comment on my recent video saying, like, how could custodians ever take casualties from, mere cultists wielding stub guns and bits of rebar piping, when it's like, well, firstly, a Genestealer cult has access to just more than that. Considering they do things like infiltrate the world's planetary defense force and have access to things like, military-grade equipment, Lehman Russ battle tanks say hi.
Yep.
And while some people might look down on them using mining equipment, their mining equipment's extremely dangerous weaponry. Like the mining laser, it can... mining laser describes being able to punch through like 6 foot deep barricade of steel instantaneously. So if it can punch through 6 feet of metal, imagine what it's going to do to someone's armor. I mean, yes, Oromite is a lot tougher than steel, but there's nowhere near as much of it.
This is very, very true.
So let's say about good 6 inches of Oromite compared to 6 feet of steel.
Yeah, and I don't really want to imagine what happens to a custodian that gets caught in a rock grinder.
No. Or having a demolition charge slapped on their back, because let's be honest, Oromite's durable, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be able to take a ground zero blast, from a demolition charge.
Certainly not consistently.
Because, to put that in perspective, there was one Last Chances story where the character Demolition Man, who, ironically enough, used a demolition charge, used one to take out an entire squad of Black Legion Space Marines with one blast from a demolition charge. So that slapped on the back of a single custodian. That custodian's basically a puddle at that point, a puddle of molten metal.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that people are forgetting is the first word is Genestealer.
Yeah. Remember the strong, fast, and supernaturally agile creatures that are capable of ripping through Terminator armor like a hot knife through butter.
On a bad day.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, custodians are incredibly strong, they're incredibly fast, incredibly well trained, and have incredible weaponry and armor. Custodians are utter badasses. No one's denying this.
No, they're OPAF, one-on-one.
But to put it this way, you put a lion in a fight you put a wolf in a fight against a bear, right? The bear is going to beat the shit out of the wolf easily.
Every time.
But you put a bear in a fight with a pack of wolves, it's a different story.
And then arm that pack of wolves with demolition charges.
Or just give them claws that are capable of just punching through the bear's hide like paper.
Or that. Yeah, I think it's because, and I'm not really an authority on it, is that the custodians are written in such a way as they are invincible. Now, I know Imperial propaganda says they cannot lose, and they never lose, but that's Imperial propaganda. They do lose. Rarely, but they lose.
Yeah.
They can die.
Do you remember that time where a single Harlequin managed to get all the way to the Eternity Gate and killed a bunch of custodians on the way?
Exactly. So, even if one custodian can take 15 or 20 or 100 Genestealer cultists, like cult acolytes or cult neophytes, maybe they could. But in close quarters, with ambushes and bombs and mining lasers and Genestealer claws,
a single custodian will probably be able to hold his own against 100 Brood Brothers or 100 4th generation hybrids. But you compare that same custodian against, say, 10 pure strain Genestealers.
Yeah.
It's going to be a completely different story. The Genestealer is going to tear them apart.
Yeah, just roll the dice and see what happens.
I mean, the custodian will probably take a few of the Genestealers out with him, but ultimately 10 Genestealers are probably going to take out one custodian with little trouble.
Certainly possible.
Oh. And also, you know that, was it the Blade Guard Champion, that new one?
Blade Champion, yeah.
Blade Champion, yeah. Yeah, that when on Warhammer Community article they said how one of them ended up killing so many Crud in close combat that he stood on the top of a mountain of corpses 100 meters tall? How the hell was he not affected by the entropic field of the Crud? Because, to put it into perspective, like, when, like, the Iron Warriors were, like, exposed to, like, the entropic field of the Crud for, like, a couple of seconds, they aged by, like, about 3,000 years. Alright? And let's say, like, 100 meters, 100 meter tall corpse mountain, that's probably going to be around at least, 300 Crud? He's killed
Certainly
personally?
at least 200.
Yeah. Let's work on the basis he killed 300. Yeah, let's be generous. Alright? So that means if he's like killing one a second, and he...
Which is an overestimate. It's a custodian. They could probably hack through 6 a second.
Yeah. So let's just work on the basis that every second he's managed to get 1 kill per second. Okay? Yeah. And every second he's being exposed to the entropic field of the Crud, he's basically aging by about 3,000 years. So doing a very very rough math calculation, he would have been exposed to the entropic field for long enough to have him aged by about 900,000 years. That would make him older than the modern-day human species.
Mm-hmm. And even if you use some more conservative estimates, like, let's say, because of preternatural reflexes and super precise strikes, they can kill 5 per second. That still takes a minute. That's still 200,000 years.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the entropic field has like a terminal velocity so that it doesn't just stack infinitely.
It doesn't.
It does technically stack because
but not the way you think.
Because when enough Crud congregate together, their entropic field not only affects time, it affects the very fabric of reality.
Uh-oh.
So, like, when you get enough of them together, anyone near the Crud's entropic field at that point will start basically merging with the floor, walls, each other, have their head turn inside out and put up their ass, having an arm grow out their knee, that kind of thing. They basically contort all these weird angles. Because that happened when the Star Phantoms chapter had their home world invaded by the Crud during a Crud migration. So, with that many Crud to have, like, a 100 meter tall pile of corpses, even if he wasn't aged by the entropic field, that custodian would have been part of the floor. Because his molecules would have been so scrambled, he would have basically turned into a pile of scrambled eggs.
Well, power armor's maybe infecting that. I don't know. They just say he's good with swords, okay? It's just a story to tell you he's good at swords, okay?
I'll be honest, like... Okay, I have 2 possible explanations. One, it's just Imperial propaganda and they're bullshitting.
Which is good as the Imperium.
Or 2, someone in Warhammer community wanted to use a minor Xenos race and forgot about what the Crud could actually do.
So 50-50.
This is why you should have just said, he killed 500 Tyrellian dog soldiers single-handedly or something, because no one gives a fuck about the Tyrellians.
Or, 500 traitor guardsmen. That would have done.
Oh, poor guardsmen.
But at least it's a measure that we can understand.
No, if you want to... Or they could say 500 avatars of Khaine.
Dear, oh dear.
Oof.
Right.
Would anyone bat an eyelid like, 500 avatars of Khaine? Yep, that's actually legit.
Scarily. Okay. There was one last piece of news I think is worth talking about. I know we've talked a lot about news, but there was one more. The Miniature of the Year.
Vote. Yes. As voted by the people, actually.
Yes. Indeed. So there were a few honourable mentions. Krondys and Karazai, the giant Stormcast dragon. Krieg, because Krieg. Lord Croak. Morven Val and the Nundums. Mosrog Scragbad and the Squig Boss. I'm not sure I agree with that one, but it's a very nice model nonetheless. And my personal vote, which was Sigvald.
I don't know, Mosrog is pretty awesome. I mean, for the cheekiness of it, if nothing else.
So, in third place, we had Helbrecht. And to be honest, I don't think Helbrecht should have been that high, personally.
No, not even close.
I think Croak should have been higher, personally.
I mean, I voted for Sigvald. I'm biased, but Croak is pretty damn awesome.
Yeah.
Helbrecht is there because there are a lot of Black Templars fan persons.
Second place was clearly the meme vote, let's be honest.
Crab. Yeah.
The crab.
I don't quite know how it happened, but yes, the crab ended up in second. I mean, GW were pushing it. Like, what is your favourite miniature and why is it crab? So, like, GW were pushing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not as good as, the Custodes, that conversion someone made of that crab with the Guardian Spear and painted gold.
Wow.
Yeah, Custodes, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, dear.
And the winner was actually the one I voted for, and that would be Be'lakor.
I mean, Be'lakor's model is pretty awesome, I'll give you.
Yeah, I mean, that's an earned victory for at least first place.
Yeah. Mind you, has anyone noticed, like, with the exception of, like, last year, of the 2021, every miniature of the year has been Chaos. With the exception of one.
Yeah, 2016 was... Yeah, 2016 was Magnus? No. Yeah, it was Magnus.
Yeah, it was Magnus, yeah.
16 was Magnus. 17, I think, will be Morty.
Yeah, it was Abaddon.
Morty. Which was a clear robbery. It was daylight robbery. No, it was the Noise Marine.
Oh, Noise Marine, sorry. Noise Marine, yeah.
It was a clear robbery of Morathi. And 2019 was Abby, yeah.
And then 2020 was Ghazghkull, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like the only one that wasn't a Chaos model.
Yeah, it said Ghazghkull Thrako won last year's poll, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Chaos is always going to be popular. Everybody likes Chaos and because they can do more with them compared to, I don't know, say the Imperial miniatures. There's more scope.
Yeah.
But I'll still maintain that Helbrecht should not have been anywhere near as high.
No. I think a worthy third place would have been Kroak or Sigvald, but I'm biased because I think Sigvald is just fantastic. And I'm biased and I know it. Yes, shush, Slanesh, shush. But yeah.
I mean, Sigvald's really cool.
For, Miranda?
But it's just Kroak. Kroak would have been awesome. He's beautiful.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. And admittedly, Mazrag. I just like what he's about.
Oh yeah.
No, Chaos I can see always winning just because there's fewer rules on making the model. You can, like you said, you can do more with them. They're not following a sanctioned setup the way anything Imperium is going to generally have. It's like, if you want to make it your own, you just add more litanies and some candles and stuff. Whereas Chaos, you're putting all kinds of stuff on them.
Yeah, and I think it'll always be a 40k Chaos miniature that wins as well. Because if you look down the list, it's been Chaos Hero for 40, Demon Primarch, Abaddon, Ghazghkull, and Be'lakor's the first model that's in both game systems. I don't think the AOS fan base is big enough that an AOS miniature will ever win this vote on straight numbers. I know Crab, but that was a meme vote. We know it was a meme vote.
But he is great.
I mean, yes, I have that Crab.
I just find it funny the amount of people legitimately upset that the Crab didn't win.
I mean, did you see the double asterisk at the bottom of the post? Share your best painted crabs on our various social medias using hashtag Justice for Dewingclaw.
Wow.
It's almost as if they were wanting a Crab to win.
Yeah, they're not telling the fan base how to behave at all right there.
I mean...
We tell you what you want to like, or something to that effect.
Or something to that effect, yeah.
Biggest shooting company history.
But they're all beautiful. Of course, they're all beautifully painted, too. I mean, very nicely done. And I'm just glad Veteran Guardsmen made the list as an honorable mention. That's really cool.
I was surprised to see them there. Because they're the only non-character model, I'm not counting the Crab as a unit, the non-character model to make the list in terms of the honourable mentions.
In fairness, the Crab is an absolute unit, though.
I know, but nobody voted. I mean, I love Elathane's Soul Raid. I've got them. They're amazing. But I don't think anyone voted for Elathane's Soul Raid because it's Elathane's Soul Raid. They voted for it because Crab. I'm willing to be wrong here. The comments will probably be yelling at me now, but... but I think it's the first time we've really seen a unit get that much popular support.
I mean, they've got a lot of cool stuff going on. I mean, and I don't know, because it's always going to be a biased vote, right? Because they're the fans that are posting, and they're going to have their different reasons for it, whether it's based on the model, if they enjoy painting, or if they just want their favorite team to win, or if they're just doing it for the laugh of it. But, yeah, it is nice. It is nice to see, and they are really cool-looking models.
Agreed. It'll be interesting to see what ends up being the model of 2022. I mean, there's nothing we've seen so far that's coming out this year. I love the Achillean Thrallmaster, don't get me wrong. There's been nothing blow away yet in terms of what we've seen in the teaser pictures and the reveals at the end of 2021. But it'll be interesting to see what we do get this year and what new designs, redesigns will really step up to the plate. It'll be interesting. I get the feeling whatever the Tyranid model is, I think it'll end up, or the Avatar will end up placing quite highly by year's end. I just have a funny feeling.
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah, I guess at Chaos Knight, have any of the Knights ever won Model of the Year? Or in...
No, it's been Demon Primarch, Abaddon, Noise Marine. The Noise Marine was, I don't know why the Noise Marine won, it was a daylight robbery of Morathi. And Abaddon's was a daylight robbery of Catacross. But, yeah, salty Age of Sigmar player.
Just a little bit. It's okay.
And then you had Ghazghkull.
And then Ghazghkull, yeah. But Ghazghkull's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe a knight will get on that list this year. That's my hope of 2022.
I wouldn't be against it. We'll see what comes along, I suppose. Right. Rem, we finished Warhawk last episode. Is there anything in particular that's hit the books the last couple of weeks, or has it just been recuperating?
Well, I've started reading through the first Twice Dead King book. I'm not that far into it. I'm only on chapter 5 at the moment, but there is some fairly interesting stuff in it.
Spoiler?
How long's the book been out for? Well, I think the book's coming out next month, isn't it? So.
Yeah, Rain is not far off coming out, and we had Nate on a couple of months ago. So.
Yeah, Rain literally comes out this month, so I think it'd be fine. It's only the first 5 chapters anyway, so
yeah,
I think it's fine. But yeah, Necron Lord, who's basically been exiled to the outer fringes of this dynasty's territory because political reasons and all that. Orcs are invading, and he's only got a very small garrison that's basically falling apart. A good number of troops aren't even waking up anymore because they've been basically resurrected so many times that they just don't anymore. It's because everything's breaking down. And there's a bit where he's trying to figure out, what the hell do I do in regards to all these orcs? So he basically... this Necron called Altix, by the way. And he has this program in his system. What was that? Hello? I just heard this really weird... What was that?
Oh, I muted my mic and had a cough, but wasn't picked up. I don't know.
Oh, sorry. I thought someone was laughing, so I was like, what the fuck was that?
No, I muted up. Never mind.
Sorry. Altix has this program which basically allows him to relive past memories. Now, this isn't just simply remembering, long dormant memories. This actually allows him to vividly relive them as if he was actually there. So what this does, it actually gives us a very brief look back into pre-Necron tier civilization.
Interesting. Now, we didn't even get that from the Infinite and the Divine, in terms of we got a really cool jaunt through history with Orican and Trazine, but never anything that far back.
Yeah, because Altix describes how he can feel the warmth of the sun against the skin, and how the breeze against him and stuff like that when he's walking through the streets and stuff. And unfortunately, we don't get a description of what the Necron tier themselves looked like, apart from one very brief description saying how some of the servants in his palace were basically sporting like these spongy tumours and cancers and stuff like that because, Necrons, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's part of the Necrontyr backstory, that their son was killing them.
Yeah. Even though that story only really made sense for those within the home system rather than those that expanded beyond.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but
because any Necrontyr that expanded beyond the home system and moved to different planetary systems, those things would have been bred out in 2 to 3 generations. So
you'd think, unless it was deep dormant recessive genetics or a soul mark like the Ideneth have, who knows?
Maybe. But again, with how advanced the Necrontyr were, you think they would just develop something to cure it, but hey. Yeah. But I digress. And the really interesting thing is that while, the Necrontyr, aristocracy lived in big palaces and stuff like that, the common people were literally living in mud huts.
Oh.
That shows how much of a class divide there was. Huge, opulent palaces for, nobles and lords and stuff like that, and the common people literally living in huts made from mud bricks. That's
this is it's like feudalism, but way more disparate than even our feudal society got to.
And Aldrich is basically talking to his brother, and his brother basically gives him a lesson by taking him to soldiers' barracks, has all the soldiers pair off and spar against one another. And it has everyone line up. Okay, soldiers, line up in order of who got the most victories in the sparring, which they do. And Aldrich's brother just literally goes up and shoots every other one. So bang, bang, bang. So half of them are dead. And Aldrich's why the hell did you do that? And his brother turns and says, this is to teach you a lesson. That death is inevitable and it doesn't care for who it comes for.
Life sucks and then you die.
Pretty much. And eventually, Aldrich is basically forced to return his mind to the present day. And one thing we find out in regards to him reliving his memories is that he doesn't do it that often because every time he relives his memories, it actually erases the memory from his system. So he can never remember it again. He can never go back.
Oof. That's brutal.
Yeah. And it turns out he did that for quite a lot of his memories, so he hasn't actually got a lot of memories of his past left.
Sad.
It's just well, this sucks. But then he realizes, because another thing that his brother said was, the strength is in the stones. And I was just I think I know how to defeat the orcs. Praetor, let the orcs into the temple. We'll take them out through there. So the orcs basically bum rush the temple, and they get trapped off. Parts get trapped off and killed and separated, pocketed, and all that. And then it gets to a bit where Aldrich kills one orc to try and lure out the war boss, because he wants his champion to face off against the war boss as basically a symbolic gesture to basically attempt to frighten off the greenskins. And Aldrich...
Our boss beat your boss.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Well, kinda, but yeah. Even though Aldrich is himself the boss, he wanted his champion to do it for him. And Aldrich's
Feudalism.
Right, my champion's gonna come. Right, you gonna come and take out this war boss? You're gonna take out this war boss? Any minute now? This war boss is coming towards me. You gonna come and take him out? Where the fuck are you? Kind of thing. And he's forced to fight the war boss himself, which he does, and then his sub-minds, these little computer programs that help him with computations and such, they're doing things ew, you're touching flesh, kind of, which is apparently a huge taboo for a lord to do. It's you touched flesh. That's disgusting.
Oh dear.
And they even censor out the word flesh. So it's FL*SH in the book, so it's a swear word, which is quite funny.
Oh dear.
Nice.
And
I guess this is one Necron who doesn't really fancy biotransferring back then.
Apparently not, no. So he ends up killing the war boss, and he expected the orcs to basically go running, but the orcs don't. They're basically retreating to more defensible positions and waiting for the next wave so another orc can take over.
Standard stuff.
So, what he does is like, alright, fuck it. Release the flayed ones.
Oh no. Oh no.
Which is basically the whole, like, you know, the strength is in the stones, because the flayed ones are living in warrens beneath the temple, like, in between the stones themselves. Because flayed ones apparently have phasing tech that's even the other Necrons don't fucking understand. But again, that's probably because, you know, Leandigo and all that. And, that's pretty much where we are so far.
Okay,
so that's... like, it's been mostly a fight against the orcs, but the really interesting part was the look back at Necron tier civilization pre-biotransference. That was the really interesting thing.
If they go there again. Yeah, it's one of those. I've actually bought that book. I've also bought Dawn of Fire 3, so Wolf Time as well, because I know Dawn of Fire 4 is on its way from the Black Library article we discussed last time. So
oh yeah, the Black Templar one, yeah.
Yeah, I may read Twice Dead King next, just so that we can keep pace and sort of talk about it all together. Or I could get ahead and try and read Dawn of Fire. I'll have a think about it and what I'm going to read next.
Yeah. For those wondering if you haven't picked up Twice Dead King yet, the Necron tier stuff is in chapter 2. So it's like pretty much the entire chapter is basically that memory. So yeah, just read that one chapter if you want to look at pre-Necron tier or pre-Necron tier civilization.
Indeed, there's plenty to explore there, and whilst we didn't get a chance to ask Nate about it when he was on the show last time because it had just come out and spoilers and we hadn't read it yet and things like that, it does sound very interesting, and I look forward to either hearing about it or reading it myself in the coming weeks.
Nice.
So what about you guys? Have you read anything?
I finished reading the Diachasm anthology. It's a long time since I was meant to do it. For AOS, sort of the Underworlds anthology. That they do an anthology every single time they do a new edition of Warhammer Underworlds. And I finally got round to reading the 4th edition one, even though the 5th edition one is just about to come out for Harrowdeep. Just interesting getting some insights into some of the war bands that I know, like the Dread Pageant and Mayari's Purifiers and Morgwaith's Blade Coven. Just some interesting stories in there. Nothing revolutionary, nothing particularly groundbreaking that if you didn't already read the stories you wouldn't know or that you couldn't work out. But the one that intrigued me was the Slaanesh warband were actually trying to get back to Shadespire. Because they'd come to Beastgrave, tortured the living daylights out of it by not killing anyone and not sating its hunger. And then once they got fed up with that and dying over and over again, they decided to go and investigate the source of the Cataphrane curse in order to find Slaanesh's lost book in Shadespire. So they actually travelled down to Shadespire through an assumed realm gate or crack in reality at the heart of Beastgrave, which was an interesting direction to go.
Oh. I have not read anything related to 40k. I've just been reading my lore RPG books for the Iron Kingdoms since they came out on PDF.
That's fair. That's more than fair. Have you been playing much of it or just catching up?
I'm catching up on the lore and editing a show that I actually did of a whole game series of in that realm. So a little bit separate, but I do love my RPGs.
Fair enough.
That's fair. And I'm sure we'll leave a link in the description. And is that series going to go?
It is not coming out too soon, so don't worry about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But yes, I will leave a link in the description regardless, so you can go over and subscribe and turn on notifications so that you are ready whenever that series comes out. There you go, I've done the shilling.
Good job.
Right, should we do some questions? I know there weren't a huge amount of comments in the last episode, but are there any questions in there that...
Yeah, there's a decent number. Right, first one. What chapter is the White Armoured Marine on the Space Crusade box from? Blood Angels. The reason for this is because all the other Space Marines on the box are Blood Angels, and he has a blood chalice on his shoulder pad. So, and considering the only 3 chapters showcased in Space Crusade were the Blood Angels, Imperial Fists, and Ultramarines, it's a fair good chance that with the chalice he's a Blood Angel. He's just a Blood Angels officer. Because remember, this was pre-2nd edition 40k, so a lot of the iconography and colour schemes for things like officers and that were very different. Like, this was back when, like, say, in the Dark Angels, you could have Deathwing Company Tactical Marines, for example. So, which you obviously couldn't from 2nd edition onwards. But yeah, he is a Blood Angel. He's just a Blood Angels officer, like a Blood Angels sergeant.
Yeah. In modern day, though, there are Blood Angels successors that do wear white, like the Angels in Carmine.
Mm-hmm.
So, I suppose if you wanted to recreate it, then you could say they're from the Angels in Carmine and just use the Blood Angels rules, for example.
Yeah, because if you actually look at... just show you a screenshot. If you actually look at his right shoulder pad, you can see the chalice and you can see, like, blood drops.
You can, and there's Blood Angels behind him as well with the correct iconography.
Yeah, so he's basically just the squad sergeant, essentially.
Most likely, yes.
Just from pre-2nd edition lore. But yeah, so interesting to see how things change from edition to edition all the years.
Wow, the face kind of has a blonde Stallone kind of look going on.
I mean, in fairness, it's not as obvious as that Al Pacino Dark Angel.
What?
Do you not know that?
Maybe somewhere in the back of my head, but it's certainly not something I can call to mind.
Basically, from the box game, the original Horus Heresy box game from like 1990, I think it was, there was a piece of Dark Angels art, and one of the Marines had a bare head, and it was literally Al Pacino from Scarface.
Oh.
Oh my.
Right.
Hang on. Yeah. This piece right here, it's literally Al Pacino just with blonde hair.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, they literally lifted the exact same pose and everything.
I mean, they did that a lot for... Oh, wow, that's so perfect. Oh, gosh.
So now we know that Al Pacino's descendant becomes a member of the Dark Angels.
I'm going to have to edit that in now.
Yes, you are. I apologise.
It's fine. What's that thing at the top left of the picture? The Al Pacino picture.
That's a banner.
No, behind the banner.
It's a Space Marine. I think it's meant to be a destroyed like Titan or something.
Maybe, yeah. There is a big smoke belch coming from it, so yeah, maybe.
Mm. Wow.
But that's a banner being held by a Space Marine in front of another Space Marine.
I mean, they've always done that. Carl Weathers became a Catachan officer.
That's true. Though for some reason a lot of people said it was actually the guy from Halo. I was like, no, it's clearly Carl Weathers.
Yeah, I think that's literally just an age breakover for people who just failed to watch Predator. and then everyone who grew up playing Halo.
Yeah, because, like, I don't see how people can think it's the guy from Halo when, like, you literally just compare Carl Weathers and the guy side by side. It's literally the same guy.
Yeah, no, it's kind of what makes it so much better too. I don't know. I never played Halo.
I mean, I think the thing that makes it even more obvious is like on his base, there's actually a plant that's got like glowing blood on the leaf.
Yes.
So it's clearly a Predator reference. Along with the Arnold Schwarzenegger Sly Marbo. I don't know what I made him look like Schwarzenegger though, because it was meant to be a Stallone reference.
Rambo, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's why Catachan are my favorite. They've got so much personality. You just paint them up like Expendables from the movie Expendables, and you're good. You're just totally good.
Are you excited for the new Catachan novel?
I think so. I mean, there's so many amazing Imperial Guard books that I haven't even gotten around to reading. So yes, but I don't know when I'll get a chance to read it.
When Fence is not out yet, so you got plenty of time to get out of it.
Plenty of time. Quote. Yeah. Catachan Devil. Yeah.
With the guy who looks like the Bionic Commando on the front.
He looks like he's ready to punch a fool, though.
You gotta love the guy behind him with the mohawk, though.
See, I love all of it. There's such great personality in there. I mean, don't get me wrong, Katie is great, but they're like the Starship Troopers, right? Whereas Catachan are just all moxie.
It's basically, what's that unit called? I've forgotten what the name of the unit is, but basically, that squad of Space Marines from Aliens.
Yeah, they're also Marines. Colonial Marines.
Yeah. I forgot what the squad's name, because they actually had a proper squad name, didn't they?
They did. In fact, one of my Catachans painted up like Vasquez.
Nice.
My friend was even able to write on a micron pen "Adios" on the gun. It's so perfect.
That's awesome.
Fair play.
Right, other question, sorry. Let's... In A Thousand Suns, Magnus talks about the Wolves of Fenris in a way that suggests that they might have been human at one point. Has this been hinted at anywhere else?
As in, when he says the Wolves of Fenris, is he referring to the Space Wolves or something else?
I think he's referring to the literal wolves.
Yes, I believe that. Obviously, there's the idea of if you succumb to the curse of the Wolfen whilst out on the trial of Morkai, you basically become one of the obstacles for future aspirants to overcome. Now, that's not to say that, Wolfen then devolve into wolves or thunder wolves, as the case may be. We've no evidence of that. But the idea of the Wolfen's curse being something more than just a flaw in the gene seed, I guess, is that what Magnus is getting at? Or does he mean that the demons that Russ goes on to consort with, that are the Wolves of Fenris, were once humans, denizens of Fenris, who made a bargain and became demons? I don't know, maybe.
Well, we all know it's so, because we all know there are no wolves on Fenris.
Yes.
Do you know, I'm surprised that hasn't become more of a meme. Yeah, because you know how
it was for a bit.
Because you know how everyone jumped on the I Am Alfarius bandwagon, and you rarely see the there are no wolves in Fenris thing at all. You rarely see it.
I think it's because GW have never acknowledged it. As a meme. I Am Alfarius is a meme. And GW have acknowledged it as such with the, if you say that, I'm going to punch your mouth off quote, or whatever it was.
I'm going to open the airlock and kill us all.
Yeah. Whereas, there were a lot of, there are no wolves on Fenris anymore after the Siege of Fenris in the preview, in the build-up to Gathering Storm.
I forgot about that.
But yeah, that one kind of died down after Magnus had his run in the sun.
Fair enough.
In fact, I think we made that joke on the podcast. I feel like we will have made that joke.
We might have done. I don't remember. It's been a minute. I mean, how long have we been doing this show for now?
We're into this is our 5th year now.
5 years? Really that long?
We started in... hang on. We started in September of second year of uni. It was the start of second
2016.
year of uni. So we've gone past 5 years then.
Yeah.
So we're into our 6th year now.
Congratulations to many more years.
Thank you kindly.
Yeah.
Which means Remleiz isn't allowed to die. Sorry, you just can't do it.
I'll die when I bloody well want to. I end up being like Commander Dante / Stan's grandpa from South Park. Let me die, Billy! So, my name's not Billy Dante, it's Mephiston. Sorry about that. Question, why do we have to diss the Vengeance launcher? Because it's shit.
Because it was terrible. In multiplayer, maybe it was alright, but in the campaign, it was awful.
It was borderline useless. Yeah. If you like the Vengeance launcher, fine.
All power to you.
But we thought it was shit.
Yeah. Please don't bring it back in Space Marine 2. It was a Grya pattern experimental weapon, and the experiment failed. It should stay there. In the bin.
We have the Redemption launcher instead, which is even worse. Right.
Yeah, I wonder if they will introduce any unique weapons into Space Marine 2.
Oh, probably. They'll probably just make more, melter shotguns. Or las cannon sniper rifles.
Hey, I loved that las cannon sniper rifle, okay? I loved that gun.
To be honest, I think the only reason they made the las cannon sniper rifle is because, the 3rd edition Devastator with the las cannon was holding it like a sniper rifle.
Maybe. I mean, it does have the longest range of all the weapons that Titus could use, so they needed a way to visualise and demonstrate that longer range, and, a long-range scope does that.
I personally would have preferred, a charge shot plasma cannon or something. See?
I never really liked using the plasma cannon all that much.
Plasma cannons are awesome.
Oh, plasma cannons are awesome, but in-game I didn't enjoy using the plasma cannon very much.
Was it just getting too hot too often?
Partly because it just, if you wanted to charge it up, it would normally miss. Like, that dropship mission at the start, in the first section on the train, trying to hit that blinking dropship with the plasma cannon with the charge shot was nigh on impossible. Or at least it was for 14-year-old Tactica.
Oh, the worst one was on the train. Yeah, fucking horrible. That was the only mission I kept really dying to. Apart from that one thing where I had to actually reboot because, when you actually have your fight against Grimskull. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, he never actually spawned. He was just completely invisible. It's the fuck?
Oh dear.
So I remember I posted a video for that ages ago, and everyone was like, "It's a purple orc."
Yes.
Right, next question. Why is Belisarius Cawl not made weapons for other Imperial factions?
He's been a bit busy, mostly, I should think.
Yeah, so some points out, the reason he wouldn't want to arm the Adeptus Mechanicus is because he doesn't want to give his rivals potential weapons.
Yeah, and there's no point, assigning your name to a weapon that will be only handled by primitive flesh. Why am I talking in a Dr. White voice? Primitive.
Have you been drinking food coloring?
Primitive fleshy guardsmen, who are just going to die in the trillions. Why would he care?
Well, let's be honest. Guardsmen are only concerned about give him the cheap and cheerful flak armor. Check. Lasgun. Check. It's cheap. It's easily maintainable. Yeah, it's got the stopping power of a can of beans. But hey.
Yeah, can't hit for tough. Can't do any damage for toffee, but actually, that's not very true. I'll come back to that in a minute. But yeah, Cawl is creating masterworks of war, and have you noticed the amount of new things he's made for the Astartes? He's been a bit busy, churning out new stuff.
I feel like if anyone can multitask, it's Belisarius Cawl.
I mean, he has got 2 copies of himself, so
See?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Fact check true.
Story checks out.
Is there any way you can kill an Inquisitor that doesn't give you hell for it? If the Inquisitor was proven to have been, become a heretic, then you probably get a way of killing him then. It's he was a heretic.
Yeah.
He blasphemed against the Emperor, so I shot him. And you say that, the Ecclesiarchy would be like, Good for you, mate. We're going to make you a saint now.
Oh no, they'll believe if the Inquisition investigates the death of an Inquisitor, so they're going to believe their agent was not a heretic first, unless there's documented evidence of such.
Oh yeah.
And even then they'll just go, wipe the tape, bomb the planet, and walk away before anyone notices.
That's true. But like killing an Inquisitor who's confirmed to be a traitor is probably the closest you're going to be able to get away with killing an Inquisitor and not get shit for it. And even then, you'll probably still get some shit for it.
Yeah, because like in Seventh Retribution, which is an old Lysander novel, that book begins with an Inquisitor being assassinated, as I recall. Or there was a book, it might have been Seventh Retribution, that's the book that comes to mind, where an Inquisitor gets assassinated right at the start, and it prompts a literal Space Marine invasion. Or was that a different book? I can't remember, but it definitely happened like that. There was a story where that happens, because that happens. I don't know if it was that one, but if that sounds right to me.
Or you can just...
Or was that... No, the Assassinorum called in a favour because it was the one with Legend Strass, and that story's creepy.
Or you can just go down the Catachan route and it's like, he had an accident. He accidentally stabbed himself 14 times in the back while shaving.
I mean...
You might get away with that with the Commissariat, not with the Inquisition.
I know. That's probably the only other way you can get away with it. It was an accident.
Well...
I mean, we've all been there. We've all, accidentally, swallowed, a barking toad. Boom.
Oh dear.
I feel like I know why you're sick.
He had a case of heartburn.
Oh.
Oh dear.
Right. Question for Tactica. How would Aun Shi react if he finds out that Aunvar is dead and the Ethereal Council is covering it up?
This assumes Aun Shi doesn't... Okay, he's in Comora, but I feel like Aun Shi is loyal to the Ethereal Council first, and
you're about to say Imperium, weren't you?
I may have... I couldn't quite get my words out probably, but he's loyal to the Ethereals first,
Right.
the Empire second. So I think you're just like, why? Oh, that's why. Okay, carry on. Done.
Yeah, they also ask if he could become Ethereal Supreme. To be honest, I don't think Aun Shi would ever become Ethereal Supreme. He seems a bit too unconventional by the standards of Ethereals for them to want to make him the Ethereal Supreme in any capacity.
Never mind that. On the day that Aun Shi has the battle that defined him, that was his last tour. He was going to retire.
Yeah.
So, most likely...
Oh, shit. He's the Commissar Yarrick of the Tau.
Yep.
It's my last day, I'm going to retire. Oh no, orcs have shown up. Fuck. That's Commissar Yarrick!
Not entirely wrong. But yes, I think Aun Shi would not... I think he'd do it if the Ethereal Council co-opted him to do it because, it's for the good of the Empire and all of that. But realistically, if he was given the choice, no, he wouldn't.
I just want to sit here and watch my stories.
Oh dear.
All of the Traitor Primarch's homeworlds were either destroyed or purged of all life. What if at least 2 of the Traitor Primarchs had landed on Terra, and this was fully known by the Imperium? What would the Imperium have done to Terra?
They did. There were like 5 of them on Terra.
No, I think they mean that if Terra was the homeworld of 2 Traitor Primarchs.
Right. Yeah. Sorry.
The answer would probably be nothing, because the Emperor lives there. They probably just erase records saying, no, they never lived here. Fuck off.
Yeah, maybe like cordon off, shut away a region where they were, say, raised, like their home village or their home continent maybe is bombed into the floor and all records removed.
Oh, this Traitor Primarch was, he was found in Mexico, that we never had in Mexico, basically.
For example. But yeah, I realistically, there's no way the Imperium could afford to give up Terra, especially post-Heresy, when it had the Golden Throne, the Astronomicon, and all the Imperial bases of operations on it. There was no way they could ever afford to get rid of it.
No. Absolutely not.
Nope. Right. Looking at the time, I think we will leave it there for now. We've had a lot to cover. We spent a long time talking about all different miniatures and reveals and teasers, so apologies we didn't get through as many questions as we might have done. But if you have any questions that we didn't answer, or that you would like us to answer based on things we've said today, or just in general, please leave them in the comments below with the word question, and we will do our best to answer them in the next episode.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate the invite. And again, Happy New Year to you guys.
Happy New Year to you.
Always a pleasure.
And Happy New Year to everyone watching as well.
Absolutely. I hope you had a very good Christmas if you were celebrating it. I hope that 2022 is a good one for you in and out of the hobby. Whether you get that model and reveal you always wanted, or you finally get that project finished, or maybe you take up a project like, for example, if you're on Twitter, Paint Slam, which I know is a project that runs every year on Twitter, so you can get involved in that. Whatever it is, I hope you have a very, very good year. We'll see what it brings for us as we get to episode 150, our 6th anniversary. God, that's scary. But yes, with that all said, thank you very much to everyone for watching. Thank you again to WarGamerGirl for joining us on the show once again. It's greatly appreciated.
Of course.
And that will be all. This has been Tactica Imperialis.
This has been Remleiz from 40k Theories.
And guest WarGamerGirl.
And we'll see you all again. Goodbye.